The final chapter of the week is chapter 19, and in this chapter we are going to be hearing from Tom Robinson. He's going to be testifying in court. And of course we know Tom Robinson is the black man who is accused of having raped Mayella. Now we don't know if this is true yet. That's why, of course, he's in court. So we will hear his side of the story now. The first thing we learn is that Tom spent 30 days in jail. And it was because we learn he was defending himself against another man who was holding a knife to him. And unlike the other man who was holding the knife, Tom could not afford to bail himself out of jail to pay that fine. So he ended up serving 30 days in jail. And here's why Atticus brought this up. Even though it makes him seem even more guilty, right, that he spent time in jail, it actually reveals that, first of all, Tom is honest. He's willing to fess up to the mistakes that he's made in the past and kind of lay everything out on the table so that we know all of his background. And second, it shows the flawed justice system of the time, and even some of the flaws that we currently have in our justice system. So since Tom is poor, unlike the other man, he couldn't afford to get himself out of jail, and therefore he had to spend that time in jail. The second thing we learn is that he helps Mayella often. So it wasn't just one time that he went onto Mayella's property to chop up that dresser, or chifforobe as they call it in the book. He's actually gone and helped her many times because he passes her house every day. The next thing we learn is that Mayella Yule saved a nickel for each of her siblings. And I believe that she has 7 siblings. I would have to look back in the book to be absolutely sure. But either way, she has a lot of siblings, and she saves a nickel over the course of an entire year for them to all go get ice cream on the day that Tom comes over to chop up the dresser for her. We learn that she, according to Tom, went to kiss him when he was in her house. And all of these things, so the fact that Tom has helped Mayella many times with things around the house, that she tries to kiss him, that she saved those nickels so that she could have alone time with Tom, it shows that she's lonely, like we talked about in the last video. And she's possibly looking for a companion, a boyfriend, someone to spend time with, because it doesn't seem like she has a really good relationship with anyone in her family. The next thing we learn is, according to Tom, Bob, who is Mayella's dad, remember Bob Yule, he walked in on them kissing. And so what that shows is that, first of all, according to what Tom is telling us, this was not nearly as bad as what Mayella is saying it was. Now, this is just from Tom's point of view, so we got to hear out the rest of the court case, okay? But it definitely wasn't as serious as, a rape, obviously. It also shows that maybe Bob has a motive or a reason to accuse Tom of this crime, because back then it would have been absolutely looked down upon, absolutely inappropriate for a black person and a white person to kiss, to date, to even really be seen together. So Bob would have been really offended by that and possibly wanted to punish Tom in some way. Finally, we learned that when Tom saw Bob, as Mayella was going to kiss him, Tom ran away as fast as he could. And what this reveals is that Tom is really in a no-win situation. So if he didn't run, Bob Yule, I'm sure, would have beat him up, possibly even killed him. The fact that he did run, though, makes him look really guilty, right? The fact that as soon as he saw Mayella's dad, he ran away as fast as he could rather than trying to explain, like, oh, she tried to kiss me. So either way, Tom is in a losing situation. And I want to read one quote for you guys that I really liked as I was reading this chapter a second, I guess not really a second time, I've read this book a few times, but again, It's kind of a few lines. So this is in chapter 19, and I have my actual book, so the page numbers aren't going to match up, but the quote says, "But you weren't in a fix. You testified that you were resisting Miss Yule. Were you so scared that she'd hurt you, you ran? A big buck like you?" And this is Tom talking now. He said, "No, sir. I was scared I'd be in court just like I am now." And then I believe it's Mr. Gilmer questioning him, the other lawyer. He says, "Scared of arrest? Scared you'd have to face up to what you did?" And Tom says, "No, sir. Scared I'd have to face up to what I didn't do." And I thought that was a really powerful quote, that Tom is just driving home the point that either way, he's really out of luck. So, he could have either been beat up, or he'd be exactly where he is right now in the book, in court, trying to defend himself for something that he claims he did not do. So that's it for chapter 19. And hopefully these videos helped you guys understand a little bit more about each chapter and be able to fill out those organizers. On the organizers, I also tried to help a little bit by asking some questions for the facts. So hopefully after reading and watching these videos, you'll be able to kind of fill in those blanks and also write some of the implications of those facts that we learn. So if you guys need any help with anything, you know how to reach out to me on Remind, on Classroom. You can always comment on the assignment through email. Whatever works best for you. I am always happy to answer your questions. And I will be talking to you guys soon. I hope you guys have a really good day. Bye.